my darling footprinters, this is a special surprise video for everybody, and it is Tuesday the 21st of June 2022 here in Australia, and it will be and in the US now as well, in the eastern states. So it is the solstices. So in the northern hemisphere it is the summer solstice, and down here in the southern hemisphere we have the winter solstice. So today down here in the southern hemisphere it is the shortest day of the year, and in the northern hemisphere it is the longest day of the year. Now there's some keywords that can be associated with each of the solstices. With summer we're looking at balance, release and recharge, which is a very, very interesting thing. Regaining your balance, taking that, and you know, it's the summer, it's the holiday time. Releasing, you release. A lot of people are on holidays and they're releasing the burdens of their work or whatever for a while to enjoy, spend time with their families, and of course recharging, taking that much deserved rest and giving their mind and bodies a chance to recharge. Here in the southern hemisphere with the winter solstice, three keywords that I've come across are stillness, contemplation and rebirth. So of course in winter things are still. Depending on where you are in the country, there's the stillness of a snowscape. There's the stillness of cold nights, and it's often, people are often inside due to the cold. They can't go out. It's weather. We don't get very much in the way of blizzards or anything here, but often we come home earlier. It's darker earlier. We tend to spend more times indoors, and that is a good time for contemplation about what we've achieved in the past 12 months since the last solstice, what we'd like to achieve. And then there of course is rebirth. So this is the shortest day of the year down here in the southern hemisphere. So from the 22nd onwards, the days are going to get longer and longer. So it's like a new birth, the birth of the next year. And so possibly a good time to renew relationships, or looking towards reviving something, whether you've been taking some time out from work or something, to head back into that situation and to resume studies, all sorts of different things, possibly even renew relationships. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to take the summer solstice and the winter solstice, and for each of the keywords I'm going to be drawing a card and discussing what that card means. So I'm going to do the summer solstice first, and the three words associated with that: balance, release and recharge. And then I will look at the winter solstice and the three words associated with that, which are stillness, contemplation and rebirth. Okay, so we'll just get started in just a moment, and looking forward to doing this for you guys. Hi, I just chose a deck, and in keeping with the keyword style of things, I've chose the Dreamland Tarot, which uses the artwork of I can't remember his name, sorry, but it's a beautiful deck, and each has three keywords with it. So we've got a little girl going around. She's already made it very clear that, you know, she's going to be a present. I love her. I got a lovely mug from hubby from the trip from Melbourne, and he bought me this lovely mug, Melbourne, Australia, with some lovely pictures on it. So that was really, really sweet. I really love it. He had a fantastic time. Okay, so let's get started, shall we? Now we're going to look first. Universal Spirit and guides of the highest truth and compassion. Let us please tap into the energy of the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, looking at the 3 key words associated with it: balance, release, and recharge. So I'm going to draw 2 cards for each word. Okay, so, and I'm not going to look at them first, so I'm just going to do them face down, okay? So, balance. 1, 2. Release. 1, 2. And recharge. 1, 2. So, with the summer solstice, the first key word I've got here is balance. And you'll have seen that on the picture that I've put up. So, what does the card say for us for balance for the summer solstice? Okay, we have firstly the Page of Cups, sensitivity, dreamer, surprise. Having a Cups card is not a complete surprise here. In some of the other decks, summer is the suite of cups, such as the fairy deck and stuff. So summer represents cups. So it's not surprising to have a Cups card show up. The Page of Cups, the pages are young, they're enthusiastic, they're dreamers, and they're sensitive. And they can go from one extreme to the other. And honestly, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid and the summer holidays would let out, and when I was growing up in high school and stuff, it was like, yay, let's all rock. You know, you'd be enthusiastic, you'd want to get the summer underway, and you'd go from one to the other. Oh, it's boring. Oh, what a great day. Let's do this. Oh, it's boring. And we've got little girl here. So, especially with youngsters, there's this feeling of extremes. If you've got family, if you've got kids, even sometimes older people who sometimes sort of move back into that, you know, it's like they've been let free if they're taken on holidays and things like that. They can be full of surprise and full of inspiration. Sometimes they have to stop, pull up and find a little bit of balance. And that is where the Two of Swords comes in. Okay, and the words we have here are decision, choice and stalemate. So finding that balance to carry you through a wonderful, beautiful time of weather and stuff, it can be, you know, a bit tricky. It can be a bit of a tightrope. And that makes sense, of course, with the extremes of the young pages and the emotional page with the cups. And the Two of Swords, it can be like walking a tightrope. You've got to make careful decisions. But sometimes it can be a bit of a stalemate. So depending on your age, it can be a lot of compromise during the summer, but it's a good time too, if you've got younger people in your life, for them to learn about compromise. It is a time of learning. Finding ways to balance yourself is very much about learning as well. You learn to compromise. You learn to curb some of your impulses at times. So, you know, especially in these times where it's an expensive time to be living, you might not be able to do what you've been able to do in previous years and stuff. And so it's a bit, you know, so finding a way to come to a good balance. So it can sometimes feel like you're spending the next 6 weeks or whatever walking on a tightrope for the next 2 months, walking on a tightrope. But it is still, there's so much joy to be found. It's finding that balance between reining in enthusiasm in other people or even in yourself, um, and you can find so much more about yourself and learn so much more about yourself. So in finding these balances, you learn a lot of lessons in life, and you're never too old to learn lessons in life. Okay, so that is the balance. Okay, it is really, really hard, you know, between enthusiasm and people getting bored and frustration at not being able to do what you might have been able to do and things like that. It can be a really highly charged time. And finding your way through that highly charged time of summer can be very difficult, but it is worth it. Now we move on to the word release, and the next card I have is the Queen of Cups, calm, empathy, and wisdom. And of course, we are talking about summer here, and a lot of the times it is the parent who is at home. I'm not going to specifically say mothers here because there are at-home fathers. So the parent or the at-home caregiver, the main caregiver, and they provide the calm, the empathy, the wisdom. And, you know, quite often during and it's important that they get to be able to take some time to themselves. Quite often, they might have more time while the kids are at school, so finding that new balance for themselves is important. And then we have the King of Cups. So this is the other parent or the other caregiver, which is balance, compassion, and advice. Now it's interesting to see the King and the Queen in the release, associated with release. Again, cup, summer, that makes sense. To me, what I'm seeing is family. It's like the whole family can come together, and it is a time to be happy. It is, you know, you might only get to go away as a family for a short time, but that is a time in which you can release all of your burdens that might otherwise be on your shoulders for the rest of the year. A lot of people consciously make that decision. We're going on our family holiday. We're going for our week at the lake. We're going here. And for us, it is a release from all those other cares. We're putting them aside for a week. And this is really, really important, especially if they're caregivers in families, whether it's to children, whether it's to other people. So having that release is so important. And it also gives them time where they might have time to be with those they love, with their children. So, you know, I've often heard people say some of the best times of my life was in the summer at the lake. I would go fishing with my dad, or my mum and I would bake cookies or this or that or whatever. And it's like that release of tension where nothing else matters, and it gives you a chance, and it gives your children a chance to maybe get away from some of the burdens that they suffer, and maybe if you're lucky enough to talk about some of the things they went through. So the summer solstice is a really, really good time to organise those get-togethers with the release. So the summer solstice on is a good time. The closer to the solstice, the better. But in the next couple of weeks, it's a really good time to, if you've got those things organised, to do them. And it's sort of like people feel like they have just some sort of their ability to open up is heightened, I guess. So it is a good time if you are awake, to get into contact with those people you love, whether it's your children, your grandchildren, your parents, whatever. It's a good time, and enjoy that release from all the other responsibilities you have for the rest of the year as well. Now, the third word associated with the summer solstice here is recharge. So we have the Three of Swords, grief, heartbreak and suffering. That's interesting. But there's another side to the Three of Swords, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And we have the Seven of Pentacles, patience, persistence and diligence. It has been a really tough couple of years, with many people losing family members to COVID, with concerns in the US with mass shootings and things like that. And it seems like you're just through one period of grief and another one comes. The summer solstice is a chance to start healing by letting the energy of the solstice recharge your mind and your body and start healing. And it might sound strange, but a lot of people don't want to give themselves permission to heal, because they feel like if they give themselves permission to start healing, they're letting somebody down. You're not. It is a good time to say, okay, I'm going to give myself permission to let go of the grief, to let go of the heartbreak, and start healing and recharging. And the Seven of Pentacles, here we have patience, persistence and diligence. And this, of course, in allowing yourself to heal, you're making a conscious decision. And sometimes it is a good way to recharge is to just have a review, not a huge review, not an intense review, but have a look at what you can let go of that you no longer need to spend your energy on. And then that opens up your energy to recharging to help you through the next year, if you get what I'm saying. So conscious healing it takes persistence and it takes patience. A lot of people are unconscious healers, but a lot aren't. What I mean by conscious healing is giving yourself permission. Those people you have lost or who are going through troubled times do not want you, or would not want you, to hang on to that grief, to feel like you have to suffer because you feel you didn't do enough, or see things in time, or some people have survivor guilt. In order to heal from these things and in order to recharge yourself, you need to give yourself permission to do that. Okay, it's like consciously plugging in the phone charger and hooking it up to yourself rather than your phone to recharge your energy. It is a good time for that, especially if you've been going through a hard time. Okay, so that is my messages and the keywords with the summer solstice: balance, release and recharge. Okay, so I will be back in just a minute and we will look at the winter solstice for the southern hemisphere. Okay, universal spirit and guides of the highest truth and compassion, please lead me into the southern hemisphere and into the energy and messages of the winter solstice for us. Hello, my darlings, I'm back. So, the winter solstice. The 3 keywords I found from doing some research was stillness, contemplation, and rebirth. So, again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm using the same deck. Okay. And we're going to have, I'll do the same thing. 2 cards for each word. And then we'll go through them. So the first word we're looking at for the winter solstice in the southern hemisphere is stillness. Again, I've got the picture down so I can't see what the cards are. Now I'm doing contemplation. And now the last word is rebirth. Okay. So let's have a look and see what messages the keyword stillness has for us. The Queen of Wands, charisma, confidence, and joy. So this is an interesting one. For the winter solstice, that's very interesting. And the Knight of Swords. Now again, I'm not surprised that there is the swords turning up because we're looking at the winter solstice. And if we were looking at a seasons-based tarot deck, swords is winter. So action, impulsiveness, and defense. Now this is really interesting, and because we're looking at stillness, so we've got one card that is action, impulsiveness, and defense. The other card is charisma, joy, and confidence. But the words that went through my mind with the Queen of Wands, charisma, confidence, and joy, is that having those things means that she doesn't have to go out and take big actions to do it. Someone who's confident, someone who has charisma, they can just do something as simple as walk in a room and sit down, and people feel good, they feel drawn to them. They don't have to go out and do big things. And having confidence in yourself. Confidence is the biggest one here. It means that if you're confident in yourself, you don't have to keep going out and doing things, getting out and about. Be confident in yourself and in your abilities. You know, it's not necessarily about waiting for things to come to you, but knowing that you've done everything you can and that there might be a time of stillness ahead and that you don't need to continually worry about it. You just have to let yourself take that time to rest, recharge a little bit, if you will. Now, the complete opposite of stillness is the Knight of Swords, action, impulsiveness, and defense. So this is where it is a good time that if this is the sort of person you normally are, to check those impulses, to learn a little bit of patience, and to learn a little bit of that confidence. So people who aren't confident in everything they have done to make something happen often feel the need to go and do more, to push further. No, you don't need to. If you have done everything that you have done to try and get a certain outcome and you're confident of that outcome, it's time to pull back on the reins and slow down. You don't have to charge in and add extra water to the broth or whatever. You know, it's simmering along nicely. It's just the time to be patient. You don't need to go in and add any more, otherwise you're going to ruin the whole dish, if that makes sense. So have the confidence in yourself that you have done everything you can, and that you can just pull back on those impulses to go and do more, go and do more. You'll know when it is time to act, and just enjoy that period of stillness where you don't need to do any more with a certain situation. Okay? And you've done everything you can, and just enjoy that peace and that quiet. Okay? You've done everything you can. You do not have to do any more. So and you've got to curb those rash impulses if you're a Knight of Swords person. The next word is contemplation. So we've got, the Wheel of Fortune. Destiny, destinations, karma. What is going to happen will have been meant, destined. Okay? And we have the Nine of Cups, satisfaction, pleasure, and stability. This is good. Contemplation, it can also be about believing in yourself and manifesting. Okay? So believe that this links back to the stillness. You've done everything you need. Now is the time to sit back and trust the Wheel of Fortune, to contemplate on what changes you would like, and also the Nine of Cups, to manifest your wishes. This isn't about direct action. This isn't about contacting people or this or that or the other. This is about you believing in yourself, believing that the changes that are coming up will happen. And this is a major arcana, so it is a big impact card. These are important changes that are going to be coming about. Okay? And it is also about manifesting what you would like those changes to be, thinking on them. Okay? Trusting. It's also about trusting. Letting the universe do its thing while you sit and contemplate on what you want your future to be, and manifest on what you want your future to be. Going inside yourself. And just believing that these good things are meant to happen, and they will. Okay? Now we have rebirth. And this is the rebirth of the sun's energy. So the rebirth of energy, you know. We've got the Two of Pentacles. Balance, duality, and adaptation. Okay? And the Ten of Swords. Failure, defeat, collapse. Now this is interesting. But, is it? It's not as negative as you would think. Okay? Rebirth. There's a saying, and I'm sure we're all pretty familiar with it. It's the darkest hour is before the dawn. We're going through the winter solstice, the shortest day and the longest night. So this is the end of the old from the past 12 months and the start of the new. And when we go through that, it's going to be a time for new balance and adaptation. You might still be dealing with a couple of things from the last year, so you're balancing that with the other, but that's just short term. You're getting ready to go into a new season the next year, and it can be a little bit of a juggling act, but you are more than capable of doing it. And this is your security of health, your security, your financial security, your basic physical security. They are the three things that we all juggle. So, you know, the Two of Pentacles is the juggler. So, or keeping these airs up in the balls up in the air. Now, this is also a good time to just let those balls, catch them, put them aside, and let the end to this period happen, because we're going through the shortest day and the longest night. And after this, the days will get longer and longer and longer. There will be more sunlight for things to happen in. It is a new year. It is a new period in your life. The rebirth of your life cycle. You're starting on the next year of your life. Okay? We all go through this every year with the summer solstice and the winter solstice. You know? So with the summer solstice, it's actually the end of the light time moving into the winter, because the days are going to get shorter and shorter and shorter. But you're still going to have a lot of long days to recharge and prepare for the winter solstice. Okay? So now it is time for the people coming through the winter solstice to step out, and we've gone through the energy from last year. To step out, and as the days grow longer and longer, we're in a new cycle, the rebirth of a new cycle, and our energy is going to get greater and greater. Okay? So, this is not the bad message it seems. This is not a, failure, defeat, collapse. Yes, it can be. But if something is going to fail, it's because it was meant to fail. Okay? But it is also the time, there's a saying is that something not working out is not failing. Okay? Failure is not having something work out. Okay? No, that's not it. Just because something doesn't work out, it is not failing. Failing is not picking yourself up again afterwards to move on. So it is time, that year's cycle is coming to an end, it's collapsing, it's going through its darkest night. It's time to pick yourself up and start moving forward and juggling whatever you need to juggle for the next year. Okay, so that is my readings on the summer and winter solstice. I hope it's given you guys some insight and some good messages for the next year. They are both a positive happening in our lives. They both bring good things. It just might not seem that way at times, but it is. Okay? They both bring opportunities to pick up and start again with a new perspective and a fresh perspective. And that can only be a good thing. Anyway, my darlings, I love you lots, and I will talk to you later. Okay, bye-bye.